This video was made in collaboration with NARUTOPEDIA. For more information, check out the link in the description. The history of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, from Naruto. The Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist was an organization consisting of only the greatest blade-wielding shinobi of their generation that Kirigakure can produce. There can only be 7 members at a time, hence the name. The swords of the Seven Swordsmen are passed down from generation to generation since the First Mizukage's era. They're considered mystical blades, and together the Seven Swordsmen are capable of bringing down an entire nation, regarded as being the strongest shinobi in the village behind the Mizukage. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the history of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. We're coming up on 1 million subscribers, and we'd love to hit it before the end of the summer, so if you enjoyed this video, please check if you're subscribed. YouTube sometimes unsubscribes users from channels, so even if you think you're subscribed, you might not be. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Background. Sometime after the Third Shinobi World War, the 7 swordsmen of the time, Fuguki Suikazan, Jinin Akebino, Kushimaru Kurirare, Raiga Kurosuke, Juzo Biwa, and 2 others, cornered a Konoha team. The team was rescued by Might Dai, who fought all 7 using the 8 gates released formation. In the manga, it is only known that Fuguki survived, while in the anime, Juzo and Raiga also survived along with him. The group's makeup changed over the following years. Mangetsu Hozuki joined the team and mastered all 7 swords, and Fuguki was killed and replaced by his subordinate, Kisame Hoshigaki. The group's remaining members started dying, as in the case of Mangetsu, or becoming missing nin and taking their swords with them, as in the cases of Kisame and Zabuza Momochi, as well as Juzo and Raiga in the anime. By the time of the 4th Shinobi World War, only Hiramekarei wielded by Chojuro remained in Kirigakure's possession. The strongest generation of the 7 swordsmen was later reincarnated to fight for the Akatsuki during the 4th Shinobi World War. 5 of the swordsmen were reunited with their former swords, which they used in battle against the 3rd Division of the Allied Shinobi forces. Although the 3rd Division suffered numerous casualties, they were able to seal all of the 7 swordsmen by the 2nd day of the war. With the release of the Impure World reincarnation, the sealed swordsmen's souls were ultimately returned to the Pure Land. In the anime, the remaining 6 swords returned to Kiri's possession, including Kubikiribocho from Kakashi Hatake, Samehada taken by Killer B, and Kiba that was in the possession of Omoi. As such, the unit had been reinstated, with Chojuro personally choosing Kagura Karatachi to replace his position. Shizuma Hoshigaki later forms his own version of the group called the New Seven Ninja Swordsmen, comprised of malcontents who wish to return the village to its roots as the Village of Bloody Mist. Recruiting Kagura to their cause, they take advantage of his access to the armory where the 7 blades are stored, and steal them with plans of staging out a coup d'etat. However, they failed to even start their revolution due to the actions of Boruto Uzumaki, his friends, Chojuro, and eventually Kagura himself, which resulted in them being defeated and taken into custody. Hiramekarei. Hiramekarei is one of the famous swords of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist. It features a wide, flat blade with 2 curved indentations near its base, creating a sort of crossguard. The 2 handles are connected to one another by a short length of cord, earning it the title of Twin Sword. The overall sword looks like a flounderfish in shape. When not in use, Hiramekarei is wrapped in bandages. Hiramekarei is capable of storing chakra. With the command Hiramekarei Unleashing, the stored chakra is emitted from the holes at the tip of the blade. The chakra rapidly coats the sword and can be shaped into various weapons, such as a hammer or a longsword. The more chakra that is stored, the larger the size of the manifested weapon. This discharge of chakra causes the bandages it is typically wrapped with to unravel. It can also create a large amount of light blue fishbone-like crystals that can inflict great damage and restrain the target's movements. It can also split into 2 swords, each with a single handle, and in the anime, the feature allows for 2 different individuals to wield it at once. Kabutowari. The Kabutowari is one of the swords of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, wielded by Jinin Akebino. The sword itself consists of a giant axe and hammer, linked end to end by a flat, thin, leather-like rope, which together are referred to as a blunt sword that is said to be able to break through any defense. Although the length of cord means each weapon can be utilized individually to cut and crush obstructions respectively, their true strength lies in the capability to be employed in conjunction with one another. When facing a particularly difficult or seemingly impenetrable defense, the wielder can first attack by striking with the axe before slamming the hammer downwards onto its blunt backside, thus using the blade like a wedge to drive straight through the offending obstacle and into the desired target located behind. In the anime, Jinin was able to use the hammer part of Kabutowari to create a powerful shockwave by slamming it into the ground. The sword is first seen when a reincarnated Mangetsu Hozuki summons it from a scroll, where it is then returned to its respective wielder, Jinin. Sometime after the war, Kabutowari was returned to Kirigakure. In the anime, a rebellious group proclaiming themselves the new Seven Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kirigakure. Determined to return to the days of the Bloody Mist, Kyoho Fuefuki took up Kabutowari. Soon after, he and his team were defeated, allowing the village to reclaim the sword. Kiba. Kiba is one of the famous mystical swords of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. Passed down from generation to generation since the First Mizukage's era in Kirigakure, the swords were eventually acquired by Amayuri Ringo and Raiga Kurosuke, and at some point, the swords were utilized by Mangetsu Hozuki in his act of mastering all 7 swords of the Seven Swordsmen. Kiri lost possession of the swords after Raiga Kurosuke became a missing nin, and following his death, the swords remained at the bottom of a river in the Land of Rivers. Upon Kiba being collected by Kabuto Yakashi, he had the sword stored within a scroll along with 4 of the 7 mist swords, which a reincarnated Mangetsu possessed. When Kabuto had him summoned alongside the reincarnated 7 Swordsmen of the Mist during the 4th Shinobi World War, Mangetsu unsealed all the swords, leading to Kiba returning to Amayuri's possession. In the anime, after being trapped in a bottomless marsh, Amayuri gives the blades to Omoe as a thank you gift for their exciting battle. At some point, either during or after the war, the blades were returned to Kirigakure and were stored into the vault along with the rest of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen swords, with the goal of training a new generation. A rebellious group proclaiming themselves to be the new 7 Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kirigakure, with Raiga's daughter, Bontan Kurosaki, taking Kiba. Soon after, she and her team were defeated, allowing the village to reclaim the swords. The swords have been imbued with lightning, granting enhanced cutting power in a manner similar to the high-frequency vibrations of lightning-based chakra flow. It is this capability that has resulted in these thunder swords being claimed as the sharpest swords in existence. Even without lightning, they are very dangerous in battle, able to be used in combination with agile spinning movements, sweeping through the targets while the user also rotates. This, combined with the jagged nature of the blades, allows for more damaging wounds to be inflicted. In the anime, the user can transform and manipulate lightning freely, even performing their lightning release techniques without hand seals. They also boost the user's attack power to the highest limit, which allows them to perform high-level lightning release techniques with a minimal cost of chakra. These blades can channel the user's own respective lightning techniques or conduct natural lightning. As long as there is natural lightning to access, the user can battle continuously without tiring and launch lightning from the sky to strike anywhere within a large area. While meant to be used as a pair, the user can perform similarly with only a single blade. They can also be connected at the hilts to form a larger double-bladed sword, increasing its versatility as a weapon. They are also able to perform various powerful techniques, such as manipulating the blades from afar, leaving their hands free while attacking the opponent at different directions simultaneously. By channeling chakra into the blades, these swords amplify it before returning to the user. Kubikiribocho. The Kubikiribocho is a massive sword renowned as the Sever Sword. Like the other weapons belonging to the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, the sword is passed down from generation to generation amongst the group's members. Juzo Biwa wielded the blade with great brutality during his time as one of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. He killed many enemies with it, dyeing battlefields red with their blood, and was infamous for using it internationally. In the anime, Juzo defected from Kirigakure and joined Akatsuki, taking the blade along with him. However, he was later killed in battle with Yagura, and the blade subsequently fell back into the village's possession. Although this giant blade was said to have been used by Mangetsu Hozuki, who mastered all 7 swords, it became the trademark weapon of Zabuza Momochi during his time as one of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. After defecting from Kirigakure, Zabuza continued to use the blade up until his death, at which point it was left beside his grave until Suigetsu Hozuki took it for himself 3 years later. During Taka's fight with Killer Bee, not only did the Jinchuriki wield the blade momentarily, he managed to slice a portion of the blade, weakening it considerably. When Taka later confronted the 4th Raikage, he struck the blade along the same cut that Bee had created, splitting it in 2. Despite being halved, Suigetsu continued to use the blade, which now resembled a cleaver, knowing of its regenerative capabilities, until it was taken from him when he was captured and imprisoned by the Land of Iron samurai. When he later attempted to locate the blade after his escape, he was unable to find it anywhere. During the clash between Kabuto Yakashi's troops and the 3rd Division of the allied shinobi forces, the sword was shown to have been returned to the reincarnated Zabuza, who used it to strike down numerous enemies in order to reform the broken blade. Nevertheless, the sword was only fully restored when Zabuza wounded Kakashi Hatake, who had been immobilized by Haku. Following Zabuza's defeat, Kakashi took the blade and demonstrated skillful use of it in battle, channeling lightning-natured chakra through it to enhance its cutting power. When Kakashi later saved Naruto Uzumaki from Tobi, the sword was no longer in his possession. Sometime after the war, Kubikiribocho was returned to Kirigakure. In the anime, a rebellious group proclaiming themselves the new Seven Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kirigakure, determined to return to the days of the Bloody Mist. Hasaku Onomichi took up Kubikiribocho. Soon after, he and his team was defeated, allowing the village to reclaim the sword. Like the other weapons employed by the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, the sword possesses a unique power, this being its ability to reform itself using the iron harvested from the blood of its victims. This regenerative process takes place almost instantaneously and is capable of bringing the weapon back to its original condition no matter how severe the damage is, from a simple chip or nick to a complete separation of over half the blade. The sword also possesses high durability and is quite strong, able to cut through almost anything. However, due to its considerable weight, only especially strong and resilient individuals can handle wielding it for long durations, otherwise they will tire quickly. Nuibari. The Nuibari is one of the swords of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist. The blade itself assumes the form of a narrow, long sword that greatly resembles a large needle, one with a long length of thin wire mirroring thread tied through the eye located at the base of its hilt. The sword is said to possess the ability to pierce all and stitch them together, demonstrated through its ability to effortlessly penetrate multiple targets in a single thrust, and then quite literally stitch them together in substantial bundles by simply pulling the attached wire taut. A capable user can even throw the sword with the intent of piercing a line of multiple enemies before catching the needle at the other side and repeating the process at different angles in order to create knots of corpses with the wire passing through entirely, effectively creating bundles of bodies at various points along the length of the thread. The sword is first seen when a reincarnated Mangetsu Hozuki summons it from a scroll, where it's then returned to Kushimaru, and last seen in the anime when Kushimaru was sealed. Sometime after the war, Nuibari was returned to Kirigakure. In the anime, a rebellious group proclaiming themselves the new 7 Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kirigakure, determined to return to the days of the Bloody Mist. Hibichigo took up Nuibari. Soon after, she and her team were defeated, allowing the village to reclaim the sword. Samehada. Samehada is a sentient sword utilized by the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, and is regarded as the most terrifying of all the 7 Swordsmen's blades. Passed down from generation to generation since the First Mizukage's era in Kirigakure, Samehada was eventually acquired by Fuguki Suikazan. Upon Fuguki being killed by his subordinate, Kisame Hoshigaki, he took the sword and joined the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. For the duration of Samehada being in his possession, their chakra signatures eventually became identical, and Kisame became regarded as a tailed beast without a tail. When Kisame became a missing nin, he took Samehada with him. During Kisame's initial fight with Killer Bee, Samehada grew fond of the taste of Bee's particular chakra and ultimately betrayed Kisame, who was later revealed to be one of White Zetsu's clones in disguise, by returning some of the chakra it had previously absorbed from Bee during their battle and even shielded him from his attacks. Meanwhile, the real Kisame was hiding within Samehada to infiltrate Kumogakure as a spy before using it to absorb Bee's chakra when his presence was exposed. After Kisame's death, Samehada mourns him, not only bestowing the blade with even more lifelike characteristics, but also standing as a testament to the bond shared between the two. Now in Bee's possession, Samehada kept 5 of his super vibrato lightning release swords within it to better assist him during the events of the 4th Shinobi World War. In the anime, 15 years after the war, Samehada was now back in the possession of Kiri. At the same time, a rebellious group proclaiming themselves the new 7 Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kiri, and were determined to return to the days of the Bloody Mist. Shizuma Hoshigaki took up Samehada. Despite his high kenjutsu skill, ultimately Shizuma proved too inexperienced with the dangerous blade, which then resulted in Samehada taking control of him when he was weakened, thereby causing him to go on a feral rampage. Ultimately, he was defeated and separated from the blade by Kagura Karatachi and Boruto Uzumaki, whereas Samehada calmed down after becoming full and content from all the chakra it ate. Samehada is unique for being a sentient weapon that gains nourishment from the chakra of others, and as such, the blade is at its happiest when engorged with chakra that possesses both a distinctive and pleasant flavor. It apparently greatly enjoys Killer Bee's chakra since, according to Kisame, it tastes like octopus. However, it has shown displeasure towards fire-natured chakra, stating that, according to Bee, it's far too hot. Being capable of conscious thought, Samehada chooses its own user, an exclusive process that has often resulted in it being thought of as notoriously picky. If someone it disapproves of attempts to wield it, spikes protrude from the handle in order to force them to release their grasp, at which point Samehada will make efforts to return to its chosen owner. To further exemplify it being a sentient being, it was able to mourn Kisame's death. As the blade is made up of scales, it inflicts injuries through shredding or shaving what it comes into contact with, rather than just cutting the object in question. This flaying effect is similar to shark's skin, hence the sword's name. While it ordinarily remains rigid, Samehada's hilt is able to stretch and bend to great extent, allowing the weapon to be used like a flail. To supplement the blade's offensive capabilities, it is able to extend its scales to spikes, and protrude spikes from its handle. Samehada shares a symbiotic relationship with its wielder, similar to that of the Kikaichu. Although it continually consumes the chakra of its owner, its largest meals come from fights, where it absorbs the chakra of the opponent by slicing through it, preventing them from performing the technique in question. This is particularly useful when fighting Jinchuriki, as Samehada can quickly deplete their large chakra supplies as well as remove their chakra cloaks, illustrated when Killer Bee was reduced back to version 1 after initially being in version 2. Bee noted that it can near instantly absorb up to 6 of his tails at once. In fact, although Bee came into contact with the blade several times in his battle against Kisame, the sword drained nearly all of his chakra, causing the latter to resort solely on Gyuki's, as all instances where it has absorbed chakra are either when the opponent has a visible aura around them or when direct physical contact has already been established. Samehada is even capable of slicing through chakra that is transformed. The more chakra it absorbs, the larger it can become. Due to its voracious appetite, Samehada is drawn to those with large chakra supplies, allowing it to be used as a quasi-sensor. Samehada can produce a mist veil through the wielder's blood. This enables it to absorb the chakra of anyone near through their open wounds. While the ability to absorb chakra is useful in defeating opponents, it's also beneficial to the user as well. Samehada has the ability to transfer the chakra it has absorbed to the wielder by partially fusing with them, so it can be used to either revitalize the wielder's chakra and stamina, or instantly heal even fatal injuries. This makes the user of this sword extremely difficult to defeat conventionally. A wielder such as Kisame can take this fusion one step further by completely merging with Samehada. Doing so causes him to become much more shark-like in appearance, growing fins and webbed hands that allow him to move through water with considerable ease. Kisame also receives some of Samehada's abilities while in this form, such as being able to extend spikes from his body for offense and absorbing chakra when others come into direct contact with him, as well as the ability to track chakra and avoid sensors. It will fuse with a weakened or inexperienced wielder on its own accord, taking them over and causing them to go on a rampage until they're separated. Shibuki. The Shibuki is one of the swords of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, wielded by Jinpachi Munashi. The blade utilizes various explosive tags contained within a substantial scroll in order to incorporate explosions into the user's own swordsmanship, earning it the title of Blast Sword. The sword itself features 2 distinct sides, with a narrow cutting edge located down the entirety of one length and a wide platform section on the other. The aforementioned scroll unrolls along this latter side, sliding downwards and resting atop its surface to form an individual segment comprised of numerous explosive tags, which separates from the remainder upon detonation. Only once the desired opponent comes into contact with the platform do the explosive tags finally ignite and then detach, providing a small opportunity for the user to escape the devastating blast radius, while simultaneously compensating for any resultant recoil. The sword is seemingly able to reload another segment of tags onto the platform automatically after each strike. The sword is first seen when a reincarnated Mangetsu Hozaki summons it from a scroll, where it's then returned to its respective wielder, Jinpachi, and last seen when Jinpachi is sealed. Sometime after the war, Shibuki was returned to Kirigakure. In the anime, a rebellious group proclaiming themselves the new Seven Ninja Swordsmen stole the 7 blades to start a revolution against the modernization and peaceful era of Kirigakure, determined to return to the days of the Bloody Mist. Ichiroto Oniyuzu took up Shibuki. Soon after, he and his team were defeated, allowing the village to reclaim the sword. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.